Hi guys, welcome to Purple Pebble. Thank you for liking and subscribing my videos. Today we are reading New York Times best-selling Caps for Sale series book, Caps for Sale and the Mindful Monkeys, written by Esphir Slobotkina and Anne-Marie Mulhern-Sayre. Relax and enjoy. Pezzo the peddler sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler. Carrying his wares on his back, he carried them on top of his head. Every day he walked through the streets of the town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." Every night he sat on his bench in his yard making caps to sell 50 cents a cap. The peddler had always enjoyed his quiet life, but suddenly things had changed. Now in the big tree in his backyard were 16 monkeys. They had followed the peddler for 2 days, and for 2 nights they had slept in his tree. This morning the monkeys were still there. "You monkeys, you," the peddler said, shaking his finger at them. "You must go home." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Ch, ch, ch." Today the peddler was going to visit his friend Essie. Essie was wise. She would know what to do about the monkeys. The peddler started up the dirt road. The monkeys started up the dirt road too. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, all in step. When the peddler reached Essie's porch, he pulled on the bell chain outside her door. The sound of the bell startled the monkeys and they scattered. "Greetings, my friend," Essie said, as the peddler hurried past. "No time for greetings," the peddler wailed. "I'm in trouble. I need help. I am being followed by 16 monkeys who will not go home." Essie was an artist. Pointing to a chair with the paintbrush, she said calmly, "Sit down and tell me what is happening." Essie painted while she listened. As the peddler recounted his story, his temper rose again. "I told them to go home. The monkeys must go home," he shouted as he stamped his feet. Essie's cat Scaramouche sprang to the top of the chest of drawers, hissing. The peddler eyed Scaramouche. He stopped shouting, sat down, and put his head in his hands. "Sometimes we decide something is no good before we have given it a chance," as he said. The peddler replied, "I don't understand. Perhaps the monkeys will go home, perhaps they will not. Are they doing anything wrong?" "No," admitted the peddler. "Sometimes what we don't want is exactly what we need," as he continued. "Go home," as he said, "and see what comes to pass." The peddler frowned. "But I won't like what will come to pass," he said. "Nonsense," Essie replied. "You cannot dislike what hasn't happened yet. It's just not possible." The peddler left Essie's house. She chuckled as she watched the monkeys follow her friend. Right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, all in step. That night, after work, the peddler sat in his backyard making caps. The monkeys were busy too. Some were scratching their bellies, some were combing their hair, some were eating their supper, and all were looking at him. The peddler threaded a needle, then he reached for a piece of cloth. He pulled the needle through the cloth, in and out and around. He skillfully made a cap. The peddler placed the cap in the trunk by his bench. Then he looked up at monkeys. "I watch you and you watch me," he said. The monkeys replied, "Ch, ch, ch." Suddenly the peddler's phone rang. The news was sad. A friend from another town was sick. The peddler said he would come right away. "Oh my," he thought. "I have money enough to travel and help, but no time to make caps to sell tomorrow. I hope I'm not gone too long." After the peddler left, the monkeys waited for him to return and make the caps. The moon came up, no peddler. The sun came up, no peddler. The moon came up, no peddler. The monkeys eyed the needles and thread. They gazed at the pieces of cloth. They looked at the open trunk, no caps. They were very mindful monkeys, so what do you think they did? One by one, the monkeys descended from the tree. They remembered how the peddler pulled thread through the needles. Some monkeys pulled thread through the needles. They remembered how the peddler pulled the needles through the cloth. Some monkeys pulled the needles through the cloth. They remembered how the needles went in and out and out and around. And soon the trunk began to fill with caps. Gray caps, brown caps, blue caps, and red caps. When they had sewn every piece of cloth, the monkeys climbed up slowly into the tree. They were very tired, and they quickly fell asleep. Late that night, the peddler came home. He was very tired too, but his friend was much better, and that was important. The peddler was worried. He had no money left, and it was too late to make caps to sell tomorrow. He went outside to sit and think. And what do you think he saw? He looked to the right, caps. He looked to the left, caps. He looked behind him, caps. He looked beside the tree, more caps. Gray caps, brown caps, blue caps, red caps. I don't remember making these caps, the peddler thought to himself. I must have forgotten, but surely I did not make so many. The peddler looked into the tree. The monkeys seemed exhausted. They were drooped over the branches like old cloths. Some were even snoring. The peddler scratched his head and wondered. He looked up again. A piece of red thread was hanging from a monkey's foot. He said to himself as he began to pick up the caps. Next morning, when the peddler left for work, the monkeys did not follow him. As he began calling, caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap, he felt very alone, and he wondered why. He thought about the pile of caps that he found last night. He thought about the snoring monkeys still asleep in his tree. He thought, and then he thought some more. Suddenly, Essie's wise words were back in the peddler's mind. Sometimes what we don't want is exactly what we need. And now he knew what she was trying to tell him. 4 children approached the peddler. Where are your monkeys? They asked. They're not my monkeys, the peddler replied. Then he added quickly, but they're my friends. That night, when the peddler came home, he had with him a big bunch of bananas. The end. I hope you have enjoyed this story. Be sure to like and subscribe and buy this book to enjoy it later. Thank you.